Ah, the Battle Tower. That new glimmering, shining glass protrusion nestled just off of Route 40. Remember when I said we would come back here? Me either! For completionist's sake, we better check it out. For we must leave no stone left unturned, no shackle left unshucked. I don't know. To enter the quote, Ultimate Trainer Challenge, you need to first leave 3 of your Pokemon with the nice front desk lady. Any Pokemon can enter the Battle Tower competition, even our coin case glitched shiny Mew from last episode. But the level of competition you join will have to match up with the highest level of the 3 Pokemon entered. In our case, level 100. That's gonna be rough. Yeah, last episode I painstakingly maxed out my levels and IVs using glitchy coin case voodoo magic, but recently gave up the habit by trading the coin case over to my future self for this. I'm not playing that ever. Yeah. Anyway, back over to the Battle Tower. Level 60 mode and above can only be accessed after becoming the Pokémon League Champion. No problem for us. And none of your 3 Pokémon can hold the same item, limiting your strategy just a bit. You are healed in between every battle, but you're unable to use any items in battle, such as full heals and restores. That's why Lance doesn't come near this place. But we can definitely attach powerful hold items, such as the rare Miracle Berry, Gold Berry, and even the Berserk Gene if we want to spice things up. But the champion hold item has to be leftovers, which heals a bit of damage every turn. After breaking down all the rules, we will be taking up the elevator to meet 7 random strangers for some one-on-one action. That didn't come out right. This is an upscale facility, not the Nintendo Love Hotel. Ay. But 7 trainer battles? Piece of cake, right? Well, while this sounds simple, you're not just gonna strut in here and take the win so easily, because among the 70 possible trainers trying to rise to the top, you might come face to face with the Game Freak legend. Wanting to size up my competition before entering, I tried to gain insight into who resides in the upper floors of this building, but instead stumbled face first into a mystery. Among a few key Game Freak employees, like those that granted me my certificate of completion, there appear to be athletes, musicians, and even film icons. Don't worry, Ishihara-san isn't one of them. He's probably still on TCG Island, and very, very upset with me. Sorry. But of the Game Freak staff are OG Pokemon legend and composer Junichi Masuda, and the creator, / my ex-Tamamushi University principal, Satoshi Tajiri. You can also find teacher Kamikawi and scientist Mori, both a nod to Naoko Kawakami and Akito Mori, who are listed in the special thanks section of the end credits. But the rest are not officially referenced anywhere online, and you know me, I love a good mystery. At a glance, I spot nods to Dick Van Dyke, Cindy Crawford, and Cameron Diaz? Maybe? But also possible nods to music legends like Phil Collins, Michael Jackson, and Bryan Adams. I got my first real 6-string. But is that just me? There's no way Game Freak snuck a bunch of American and Canadian pop references in their game, right? That's never been done before. Oh, right. Well, that's never been done twice. I needed to find answers, so I went straight to the source. You remember when I was in Cianwood City in Chuck's gym? No, you probably don't. But inside I battled a black belt named Nob, and luckily I took down his phone number in my Pokegear, because this man is Nob Ogasawara, and he was a core member of the localization team for Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. If anyone knows the meaning behind these trainer cameos, it would be him. But unfortunately, after chatting, Nob told me he doesn't recall seeing this list, conveying that the Nintendo Treehouse localization team may have been handed this last-minute project. While it's another dead end, Nob seemed very pleased to learn about these trainer references. Nob was also very helpful in attempting to decode a few of the names, noting that Yafune is believed to have been a Super Mario Club representative at the time, and that Saito is probably Muneo Saito, author of several obscure Pokemon comics, and the original designer behind the legendary dog, cat, beast thingies. Side note, Saito's original concepts of these Pokemon were wild. So now I'm left with another conundrum. I have to get a hold of somebody who worked at Nintendo Treehouse in the late 90s. For the uninitiated, Nintendo Treehouse was the localization team for Donkey Kong Country in 1994. Named for, well, Donkey Kong's Treehouse, and stuck around long after that, serving as a bridge between Nintendo Japan and English localization. Notable Treehouse members would eventually include Nintendo Direct staple Bill Trinan, Princess Peach voice actress Leslie Swan, and Nate Bildorf, seen here with the special edition Pokemon Game Boy. But none of these people appear as trainer references at the Battle Tower, so we need to keep searching for those that do. 3 names stuck out to me in particular: Camper McMahill, Hiker Alexander, and Last Geis are no doubt a nod to Seth McMahill, Hiroto Alexander, and William, or Bill Geis, who all were key localizers for Nintendo in the early 2000s, working parallel with our friend Nob on, you guessed it, Pokémon Crystal. This also provided another clue, that the namesake of a trainer in this tower more often than not had nothing to do with the actual real-life person, unless Bill Geis feels like a schoolgirl at heart. And while guitarist Adam seems like it has to be a nod to our favorite Canadian rock star, I got my first real six string, it might not be a musical reference at all, simply a name pasted on the guitar trainer class. Then again, Masuda is a guitarist and Tajiri is a bug catcher, referring to his childhood passion for bug hunting, which greatly influenced the concept of Pokemon, so I still do think it's a Bryan Adams reference. But anyway, McMahill, Alexander, and Geis appeared to have more of a role in game testing for this game, or quality assurance, and are also notoriously hard to get a hold of. I mean, Bill Geis is only the senior creative director at EA Sports.
EA Sports.
Not like he has a lot going on or anything. So let's instead look for clues in the development of Pokémon Crystal itself. If we look at an early prototype of the game, we can see that the Battle Tower trainers still exist, but the names, like these here, are not in the final English version of the game. They are direct references to the staff of Game Freak, Pokefan Nishino in particular honoring Koji Nishino, one of Pokemon's founding members. But by looking at the final English trainer list, he's nowhere to be found. And researching the Japanese title isn't too helpful either, as access to the Battle Tower is restricted to the mobile adapter GB peripheral we discussed while hunting the mythical Celebi, and this would load the Battle Tower with other Pokemon trainers via satellite. So let's put on our theory hats for a second here. Here's what I think happened. Game Freak set placeholder names for the 70 Battle Tower trainers, and when Nintendo Treehouse was given the task of localizing the game, they very quickly decided to change not all, but several of these names on the short schedule before the game's release. Clues can also arrive in the international version of the games, like the German Volgafanger Brose, Italy Centauro Biglia, and even the French Karatika Benramu? Benramu? But our clue comes from France's Border Charbet, who is a direct reference to French Pokémon Crystal localizer Daniel Charbet. This means that every language of the game may have unique staff Easter eggs, which is actually pretty amazing. The Spanish translation has Joven Ruperto and Policia Viscount, who I can assume are members of the Spanish translation staff, but also Cazabichos Tajir, meaning that some trainers like Tajiri went unchanged in localization. So, bear with me. I painstakingly studied the list and tried my best to accomplish something never done before. I tried to determine the possible inspiration for the names based on notable figures at the time. So let's recap what we have so far. For the Game Freak crew, we have, obviously, creator Satoshi Tajiri and original composer Junichi Masuda, accompanied by original Game Freak artist Matsuhiro Arita, who was a pioneer of the TCG, making such art pieces as the iconic base set Pikachu and Charizard cards. What a legend. And also the previously mentioned Game Freak artist Muneo Saito. I believe that is all that survived the localization of the original Game Freak trainers. Sorry, Nishino. But I could be wrong, as I have not found any information linking some of these names directly, although they may have been involved with the Korean release of Gold and Silver. But we do know, thanks to Nob, that several of these names match Nintendo Treehouse employees, like previously mentioned coordinators Naoko Kawakami, Akito Mori, and Hiroto Alexander, as well as US localizers Seth McMahill and Bill Geis.
EA Sports.
A lot of the credits of the game. I also believe that Treehouse EAAD testers Eric Johnson and Nico Gonzalez de Santiago are attributed here. And let's not forget Nob's memory of an NCL Super Mario Club leader possibly named Yifun. And that leaves a lot of extra names. Holy moly! After taking a hard look at these names, Rodriguez sticks out to me, and while it might be a reference to A-Rod of Mariner's fame, you might recall that while discussing every Gen 1 event Pokemon, we talked about Club Nintendo of Mexico's Odd Mew giveaway. Well, one of the region's most decorated Nintendo personalities, and also host of Mexico's Nintendo Mania, is none other than Gus Rodriguez. I'm fairly certain this is an homage to him. Yates could be tied to Andy Yates, who spearheaded the trade marketing for Nintendo of Europe at the time, and Pokemaniac Khan happens to share a last name with the CEO of 4Kids, Al Khan, who was a very important key to the Pokemon anime taking off in the Western world. This man is probably single-handedly responsible for Pokemon becoming a global phenomenon, and he deserves a trainer to be named after him. And this part of the list I feel pretty good about. Regis, I'd like to lock in my answers. But from here on, we're going to go a little off the rails into theory mode, so I'm going to very quickly blast through my thoughts. I wholeheartedly believe that the localizers at Nintendo Treehouse, while on a time crunch, started spitting the first names that came to their mind, using film and sports as reference. Let's start with actors. Both Andrews and Van Dyke appear, which made me immediately think of Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke from Mary Poppins, and also led me to spot some other 90s film icons' last names. Cindy Crawford, Cameron Diaz, Morgan Freeman, Paul Newman, Uma Thurman, Holly Hunter, Billy Bob Thornton, Sam Rockwell, Phil Buckman, Breckin Meyer, and even Varsity Blues' Amy Smart and Paul Walker may have possible nods here, as well as some older actors like Leif Erikson and Andy Kaufman. I could see O'Brien referring to the greatest talk show host of all time, Conan O'Brien, and Olsen being a possible misspelled reference to the Olsen twins. Now I'm sure most of these are absolutely not correct, but could you imagine if this is how the Battle Tower looked? It would be talked about way more. Let's take a look at my picks for sports. I'm not a sports buff at all, but some of these are mighty coincidental, especially since the Nintendo localization team that worked on Pokémon Crystal was sourced out of Washington, USA. This brings some Seattle sports legends to mind, like the Supersonics' Vin Baker and the Seahawks' Dwayne Bickett. I'm also linking teacher Marino to football legend Dan Marino, and baseball player homages stemming from Ty Cobb, Lenny Dykstra, Billy Wagner, and the Mariners' own Stan Javier. Valentino might also fit in here to reference young motocross legend Valentino Rossi, and the only link to Eaton I found was for wrestler Bobby Eaton. And like Nob stated to me, it might be a good idea to look into hockey players, such as NHL All-Star Kevin Hatcher. My reservations with most of these names is why not make a clear-cut reference. Like if there was a Border Gretzky, I would be much more sure of these links. Well, let's keep moving on to music artists just for fun. Like I said, this is Bryan Adams.
I got my first real six string.
And why not throw the likes of Phil Collins, Sheena Easton, Faith Hill, Michael Jackson, Hanson, Tina Turner, and Will Smith on there for fun. Yes, Will Smith was a music artist at one time. I was unable to link a few of the names here, like Nickel and Bahn, which is the German word for train, and 3 stuck out as city names for Fairfield, California, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and Ogden, Utah. You ever been to Ogden? If you know, you know. And as for the rest, I'm not really sure, but still, this is incredible. Granted, this list is probably 90% inaccurate, and all of these names probably did come from the hundreds of unknown members of the US Treehouse team, but still, maybe, just maybe, the English localizers had a shelf in the office with Varsity Blues, Mary Poppins, and Big Willie style on it, and used it for inspiration for these incredible trainers. But that's just a theory. A game theory! Oh, can't do that. Copyrights and all. Anyway, wow. What on earth got us started on this tangent? Since I don't know which of the 70 trainers I will face off against in my 7-battle rampage, let's just select a well-rounded team that's up for the challenge. Leading my team will be our shiny coin case Glitch Mew, who I've powered up with a strong moveset and given the Miracle Berry, which was attached to Celebi when we caught it in the Ilex Forest, and can heal any status condition. For backup, I have Snorlax for his hefty HP and attack power. Earthquake could also come in handy, and I've given him leftovers, naturally. And my third choice is a Pokemon I never thought I'd actually use, but I'm gonna go with Starmie. Its dual psychic and water attacks can strike fast, and its ability to recover will be vital to surviving powerful opponents. Starmie's gonna hold the gold berry we found in the ruins of Alf's secret chamber, which will provide some HP. Okay, let's climb the elevator and meet our victims. First up, we have Skier Van Dyke. Looking good. Since my Mew has a variety of TM attacks, its Ice Beam can thwart Exeggutor, and we can struggle through Omastar. Van Dyke's Misdreavus captured me with Mean Look, which kinda sucks since its Shadow Ball is super effective. But with the lucky paralysis via Thunderbolt, we hang on until we get Snorlax in there. Misdreavus' Pain Split is a pain to me, but we luckily get an Earthquake or 2 in and win the match. Like I said before, you're healed between each battle, and that includes hold items, so that's a nice feature. Number 2 is the mysterious youngster Wright. One of the Wright brothers, maybe? Who starts off with Caesar, who is a very hard opponent. Mew's throwing in an Ice Beam, which I realize if I studied my Pokemon types isn't a great start, but we get Scizor frozen solid by sheer luck. And then we meet Tauros, who is actually very hard in this challenge. With a gnarly Iron Tail and Hyper Beam attack, We need to get Snorlax in there to earthquake the crap out of that angry cow. Unfortunately, we come down to our last Pokemon each, Hitmonchan versus Starmie. And my psychic abilities should make it a piece of cake, but this Hitmonchan tries to best me with Thunder Punch. Phew, that was close. I wonder who's next. You want to be a leader? Battle me then! Pretty cocky there. Let's get into this fast and furious battle with Walker. Fearow has a nasty Hyper Beam, but I have Thunderbolt. Walker's Steelix won't go down so easily. After a disappointing bout with my Snorlax, I finally realized that I should have started with Starmie, who single-handedly takes down Steelix and the following Rhydon in one strike. Yeah! Number 4 boasts phenomenal Pokemon skills, but Eaton's Machamp is no match for Mew. But this guy has a Misdreavus too, who has proven to be a kink in my team's type build. But we're lucky to come through with another freeze to take it down. And then give the following Charizard a toe-to-toe match with Snorlax. You have to watch out for that fly attack, but we come through in the end. Are you that person? Finally someone who recognizes me. And rightly so, because this little child is actually the creator himself, Satoshi Tajiri. Just because he was once my principal doesn't mean he'll go easy on us, leading with an Omastar and a Powerhouse Electrode, before finishing with another Hyper Beam ready Tauros. After our battle, Tajiri has some memory lapses. Yes, I am the legendary. It's me! Before we move on to Sage Bookman. The werewolf in Paris throws out a Pillow Swine, who gets me with an Earthquake. Dang it. But Starmie finishes off that furry pig thing and Steelix to get to Buckman's Fearow at the end. It comes down to Snorlax again, and since we have a ton of HP, we scrape by with yet another victory. Our last of the 7 opponents is Skier Lancaster, who isn't holding anything back. Giving a crack at Mew's Thunderbolt to start things off, we're able to take him down with Starmie. And then Lantern, a surprising opponent, appears. It's all up to Snorlax now. And while we sink Lantern, the final Pokemon Rhydon proves to be difficult in a one-on-one battle to the end. Hyper Beam almost knocks me down, but we cling on with 14 HP and come back with one last Earthquake. To become the Battle Tower Champion. And what is my grand prize? What? That's right. The only thing you get for this top tier challenge is vitamins. I don't believe this. Well, nevertheless, it was very fun to dive into the mysteries of the Battle Tower trainers. Thank you to Nob Ogasawara for giving me some insight into the creation of this pristine facility. If I have one thing to comment on, one complaint, it's just that no one wants the grand prize at the end. You guys really need something better. Anyway, I'll see you all next time, and remember, stay awesome, Pokemon fans.